Hello there, Lunar Squadron, and welcome back to the channel. I have been waiting a very long time to say this. We finally have a brand new Star Wars game to talk about, as Star Wars Zero Company was officially shown off and revealed to the world earlier this week at Star Wars Celebration, and we have so many brand new gameplay, story, character, all kinds of brand new details to sit down, break down, analyze, and we're going to do just that. But first, if you're new to the channel, we would love to have you as always. The way to do that, just go down below this video, hit that little subscribe button, the bell notification right on next to it. It will notify you every single time that Andreas and I upload. And if you'd like to take this conversation beyond the comment section on YouTube, make sure to head over to Twitter and follow us at Lunar Squadron, or jump into our Discord server. All of the information for that will be down below. Now, with all that out of the way, Andreas, let's talk about a brand new Star Wars game finally.
Oh yeah, let's do this, guys.
Alright guys, it has been an incredibly exciting week for Star Wars fans. Of course, Star Wars Celebration has just happened. We got brand new movie announcements, we got to see some new pictures and footage, and of course, for all of us gamers out there, Star Wars Zero Company is finally out there in the world. We got a trailer, we have an article breaking it all down, all kinds of great stuff. But I think where we need to start this conversation is with the official description of this game. Like, what is this game going to be? And it says that Star Wars Zero Company features a gritty and authentic original story set during the twilight of the Clone Wars that puts player in control of Hux, a former Republic officer who's in charge of an elite squad of cunning operatives. As an unconventional outfit of professionals for hire hailing from across the galaxy, Zero Company must set aside their differences to take on an emerging threat that will consume the galaxy if left unchecked. And of course, if you guys don't know this yet, this game is a turn-based style game that in the way of XCOM. If you think of XCOM, that is kind of what this game is going to be, in case you guys didn't know that. So Andreas, knowing now this description of this game, and we know it's going to be in that XCOM kind of turn-based style strategy, how are we feeling?
I think a great place to start on this, with this description, and just from looking at the trailer, the vibe that I'm getting from this game is very old-fashioned Star Wars video game, like out of the LucasArts era. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but it's kind of like that darker, grittier take. And it might also have something to do with the fact that this is set in the Clone Wars era. And for me, at least as far as I can recall, it's been probably a decade since we've had a dedicated Clone Wars video game that isn't part of an iterative series or wrapped into a Lego project. So I think this is very exciting from the very fact that this is a Clone Wars project, because, as you will all know, we're very Clone Wars happy here on the channel. So getting that part of the Star Wars fan base fed is super exciting. As to the genre of the game, this being a strategy game, personally, I haven't really delved deep into the strategy genre. Perhaps the only strategy game I've ever played is Civ 5, which I was addicted to at the time. But I feel like that's a very different type of strategy game than what XCOM or this is going to end up being. But knowing the prestige and acclaim that XCOM has among the strategy community, and the fact that BitReactor, which is a group of devs who were behind the XCOM series of games, and then that partnered with the folks over at Respawn, who have shown us that they can create quality Star Wars experiences and narratives. That gets me excited, and it seems like we have all the ingredients that can create a really good game, and whether those ingredients come together ultimately remains to be seen, but I think there's enough at this stage to be excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I will be the first to admit, a turn-based tactics game, it's not my first choice of video game. I have played XCOM. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but what I do like about this is that they are doing something different within Star Wars. It's not just going to be the same type of game that we've gotten with Jedi and the same type of game that we've gotten with Star Wars Outlaws. Like, I respect that they are willing to try something new. And one thing that I have always appreciated and respected about the turn-based style games and the tactics games like XCOM's is that choices made in those games, like, those have impacts. There's meaning behind that. And they talk about that specifically in this article, where they say, additionally, the panelists said they wanted choices made in the game to be meaningful. Hux' appearance and combat class can be fully customized as can the operatives the squad recruits. Squad mates' appearances, loadouts, and abilities can be tailored across a wide variety of character archetypes, from astromechs to a Jedi. And while in the field, the members of Zero Company who players choose to send on the mission will forge bonds between them to unlock powerful combat synergies that can turn the tide of battle. I'm really excited about this. And like I will say, XCOM has kind of set the bar for this, so this type of customization and stuff like that, like that is to be expected. Like if XCOM's doing it, this game has to do that. But I love that there's some skin in the game here. Like you can customize these characters how you want them to be, and you can really build your own squad, and then the way you send them out will actually have a chemistry impact on these characters and could make a mission go from being unbeatable to beatable based off of these decisions that you make, and really can add some of that kind of unique customization to your overall gameplay experience. Even though this is just a single player game and you usually get more of that uniqueness in a multiplayer game, a system like this will allow people to have their own unique experiences, which I think is pretty exciting.
One other thing that I think is important to point out here is, after covering Star Wars Outlaws for so long, where we heard everyone begging for a Star Wars game that allows us to customize the main character, the fact that we're able to fully customize Hawks' appearance and combat classes here, it says outright it's fully customized. So I do think that hopefully can scratch an itch for a lot of you that were crying for that, and hopefully we see a lot less of those complaints in the comments this time around.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? But you never know, right? We don't know until we get to see more of this game. And where I want to kind of go to next is actually talking about the characters that we will have in this game, because I think it's really exciting what they're trying to do here with these characters, where they're going out of their way to pit characters that have, kind of not a great past with each other together, and seeing what happens when you build a squad around them. And they say that players can choose how to form their Zero Company squad with the option to utilize both characters they crafted themselves, which that's incredibly exciting. I love that customization, as well as new original Star Wars characters with stories that evolve as they play. During the panel, Contreras introduced Celebration attendees to 4 of these original characters, the first being Trick, who's a clone soldier whose laconic wit masks a haunted heart. That is a great description. The next is Luco Bronk, an incendiary sharpshooter who still hasn't forgiven the Republic for invading his home world of Umbara. So right off the bat, we're going to have Umbaran, and we're going to have a clone soldier from the Republic. They're not going to get along, and we're going to get to see how does that impact Zero Company? How does that impact their chemistry? I'm just really excited for those little intricate character moments that are going to happen throughout this game, and like how they're able to set aside their differences, or maybe they're not able to set aside their differences, and how that will impact the story as it unfolds. The third is Cly Culvero, an infamous Mandalorian gunslinger and one of the last surviving members of the ancient clan Vermoneth, and Tell, a Tonganth Jedi Padawan on a quest to complete her fallen master's last mission. Kind of a Cal Kestis kind of thing. I'm seeing Respawn's influence here with this character. And they say that these unlikely allies must band together to face a galactic threat. The more they work together and face adversity, Contreras said, the deeper their bonds grow and the stronger the team becomes.
Yeah, I'm really liking what they're going for by pitting together these groups of people that clearly hate each other or tend to hate each other in the Star Wars universe. You've got the Jedi as well as the Mandalorian, who we expect to clash. And then we have the Umbaran and the clone, like you mentioned, Nick, where we totally expect them to clash. And I think there is kind of an important discussion to be had about the fact that an Umbaran is even being included in this game. For me, the Umbara arc of the Clone Wars is one of those arcs that I think shows the potential of strategy in Star Wars. I think that arc arguably was all about differences of opinion when it came to strategy. And so it just shows that that is what is at the heart of the ethos of this game. The fact that this group of devs is tuned into Umbara and what an Umbaran may be is a positive sign for this game. And also, I'm liking the diversity. You mentioned the Jedi here is a Tognath. Like, I can only recall one other Tognath in the Star Wars galaxy being Two Tubes. I don't know if there's even one other than Two Tubes. So just cool to see the diversity in terms of the band of characters we're able to put together. And I'm excited to see the customizable options, how many different combinations there are when we start customizing things.
Yeah, that was my immediate takeaway from seeing this gameplay trailer was just like, it's such a unique group of individuals. Like, you have a couple clones, and then a Mandalorian, and an Umbaran, and a Jedi, and it's like, how is this going to work? Because, like, on the surface level, this doesn't make any sense. So I'm really excited to see how the team at BitReactor and Respawn make this make sense within the game. Like, it just doesn't really, on the surface level, seem like this should work. So excited to see how that actually ends up playing out. And then we got some pretty exciting gameplay information, including some of the locations that we're going to visit and just kind of how this game is going to operate. So they say in between adventuring across the galaxy to embark on tactical missions, players will return to the Den, which is Zero Company's base of operations located on the ring of Kafrene. The Den features an expansive galaxy map where players choose the strategic tasks and tactical missions to take on next. So we'll have like a headquarters area that we can go back to and choose different missions. Also pretty similar to XCOM. And it continues by saying in one of the largest and most interactive maps ever featured in a Star Wars game, which is a pretty big thing to say, Zero Company will travel to planets that fans might already be familiar with, including Seralonis from the Bad Batch, Solo, a Star Wars Stories Vandor, which I'm really excited to see more of that planet. I really like that one from that movie, and Mapuzo from Obi-Wan Kenobi, and more. And then there was also a shot of the map that they showed off during the live stream where we see Champala also included. So we're going to get to see some familiar, and I say familiar with like quotation marks around it, Andres. Like, obviously we've seen these planets, but we're not talking like Coruscant, Tatooine, Mustafar off the bat. Like, of course, those planets could be included. We don't know for sure. And especially this taking place during the Clone Wars, like anything is up for grabs. But we're getting like quote unquote familiar planets here.
Yeah, definitely. And I do wonder how much of this is the team trying to save surprises for later. I do find it interesting that given the way that this has been advertised, that it's kind of like shadow warfare, the conflict that you wouldn't know because it's kind of things that are going unseen under the table, that does give them a window to go to some of more of the active planets in the Star Wars galaxy, because you can kind of shove it under the rug and say, well, it's a shadow tactical operation where no one knew about it, right? So I hope they take advantage of that position, that frankly they've been smart in giving this game that position, because it gives them the freedom to do that. And looking at this galaxy map, I mean, I see dozens of planets. I'm wondering how many of these planets we see on the galaxy map are actually visitable. But I mean, if it's every single one of these planets that are on this galaxy map, that is dozens. And I would hope, for the sake of immersion, that these planets would include the mainstays in the Star Wars galaxy. If not, it would seem a little off to me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that might be one of my biggest concerns with just this being a turn-based strategy game, a tactics game, is just like how much of those planets will we be able to see when we go to them? Will it be a large portion? Will we be able to go to multiple different areas? Will it just be like a certain sect area? Like, of course, we're not going to know that until we learn more about the game, but that's just something that I will definitely be keeping in the back of my mind as we learn more about this game. And then they do talk about locations and how character development is going to take place in this game and kind of how they interact together, where they say the places players choose to go and the missions they undertake can each have an impact on the story. For example, Trick and Luco don't seem to get along, as evidenced in the game trailer. If players choose to invest in their partnership by sending them on missions together, they may be able to improve their bond, which could impact their fate in the game. Just again, talking about how these decisions you make as the player with these characters and how you use these characters and which characters you send out and which places you go to is going to create a unique gameplay experience for you, the player, which will be incredibly exciting. So not everybody, even though we're going to be experiencing the same story, you're not going to experience that story in the same way, if that makes sense. And then they close out with just kind of talking about some more details about the ship and stuff like that, where they say every squad needs a starship to get where they need to go in the galaxy, and Zero Company is no exception. BitReactor had the opportunity to create both a new ship design and a new droid to serve as the squad's pilot. I feel like at this point with Star Wars video games in this era, that's like a rite of passage. You have to make a new ship and you have to make a new droid. Like, that's how Jedi's worked, that's how Star Wars Outlaws worked, but beyond that, they say, and their excitement to bring them to the Star Wars galaxy was apparent as they introduced both the Kyson and its pilot Mevo. So we have a new ship to love and we have a new droid to get to know. So guys, there are all the brand new details that we know about Star Wars Zero Company so far. Of course, we have the trailer out there, but we know a lot now about the gameplay and how the story is going to work and some of the new characters and kind of how you're going to be able to build your own experience. So pretty exciting. Let us know all of your thoughts down below in the comment section. Are you excited about this game? How do you feel about the gameplay style? How do you feel about the setting? How do you feel about all of this information? Are you excited for the game? Are you not really excited? Are you a little tepid about the game? Just let us know your thoughts. You guys know we love talking about this down below in the comments. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for us for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you all next time.